Hi, this is Tom Mura with World Class Coaching with another in our series of animated drills. Oftentimes, most of the time up till now, we've done one drill and just kind of explain the ins and outs of it. I had a question from a podcast listener to Coaching Soccer Weekly about training 9v9 and specifically training the 4-3-1 system that I talked about. So I thought I'd show you this complete training session just based on one setup because it's quick and easy, and I really liked the results I got with it, so I thought I'd show it to you. So the basic way I start most of my sessions now are with some form of Koji warm-up, and you can look at previous videos to hear about that. But with this warm-up, we've got players running and moving together, and it's all predicated on movement, angles, and timing. So we've got players moving in coordination with each other. So we'll have the players across from each other running past the flag and then finishing their run to the left. And first we'll just do this with two players at a time. So these players would go, and then the players in the opposite lines would complete the same pattern. And we do different variations of this using change of direction, using shuffling, and different patterns in order to get the players warmed up and moving. We can also throw a ball in with this activity, but you can do it based on the same setup as the rest of the session. So just wanted to show you that you can incorporate that as a warm-up and then move quickly into the next phase. So much of the 4-3-1 is based on setting up triangles and diamonds. And so that's a great pattern, and specifically the diamond pattern is one that I try to use a lot. So what we do after the warm-up is we broke the players out and moved them into two different diamonds. And I had these diamonds a bit farther apart than it shows here in the diagram, but just for the ease of showing it all in one place here, I'll show it to you this way. So we end up with one player on each of the cones, except we have two players here at the start. So we'll just add a player to that at the start, and we'll take that player away. So we end up with our same 6 players in each area. So we ended up with 12 players to start the session. You can obviously do it with more players. If you had too many more players, if you wanted to go up and create a third diamond, you could do that up the field here. You could create a third diamond, and you'll see why that relates later on. But we begin by just doing diamond passing exercises. So we got the Koji warm-up going, so the players are warmed up and ready to move. We alternated in some different dynamic warm-ups to get them stretched and ready to go. And now we're doing diamond passing, following our pass around the outside of the area. This can be as simple and as complex as your players are able to understand and able to do. You can use whatever passing patterns that you've been working with up until now in this same pattern, but it's all predicated on pass, follow your pass. It's talking about basically having right, left, and split support for the player on the ball so that that player's always got somebody to their right, somebody to their left, and is able to connect with players easily and quickly. And so we're just passing, following our pass around the outside of this area. Just for the sake of time, I won't go into creating every one of these patterns, but you can see I'll just duplicate it here on this side. So we're creating that movement and that passing as we go around. And we do that in both of the diamonds. And I'll use a nice little trick here from the Planet Training software that makes it really easy to just take all of that and copy it. And now I can move that copy into the other side without having to redo the whole thing. So we're passing, following our pass. Obviously, we're going to do that to both sides so that the players are going both receiving with their right and receiving with their left and passing and so on. And we're going to talk about checking away from that defender who's represented by a cone in this exercise in order to create the space to open up and play the pass to the next player, this player opening up, and so on. So we're getting that pattern of movement that the 4-3-1 really requires. So at the beginning, we've got warmed up. Now we're going through the passing. Now what we'll do in this next phase is I'll just alter it a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll take these out just for the ease of seeing everything. And we're going to now start to show the players how this relates to the system we're going to play. So I'll take out this middle area and we'll just leave one cone there. And we'll take the cone that we removed and we'll put that cone up here at the top. So we'll add a player to that space there. And so now we've created this kind of this second, or I should say this third diamond area. Now to begin with, got ahead of myself a little bit, probably wouldn't add this player in as yet because I want to complete the pattern here. But what we would add is we would take one of these players and make them a goalkeeper at the bottom of the pattern. Because what we want to do now is we want to take one ball and we want to possess one ball around the outside of this area. So we're passing the ball around the outside of the area, and then we're going to connect by playing it to the goalkeeper. So I jumped ahead here just so that you don't have to see me build the entire thing. But we're basically passing, following our pass around, and then when we get to the middle, now we've only got one central player. So that central player plays back to the goalkeeper, and we want that goalkeeper to come out and show them kind of where they want that pass, put their hand out, move to that side, move away from the goal so they can receive the ball, and now we shift it to the other diamond. And so now we're passing, going around the outside, and as you can tell, this might be the way that we, circulate the ball if under pressure out of the back, if we need to keep possession and move to the other side. Now, obviously, this player would then flip sides and be facing the other direction and be opened up to the field so they can then receive the ball and pass it back. They would pass it back now to the other side, so the goalkeeper would be showing on the opposite side to then receive the ball and then pass it out in that direction so that we get that pattern moved over to the right again. So we're going around the right, and then we're going around the left, and then we get it back again, and then we're going back around the right. And so all the players are passing, following their pass. This player just follows into the next line over here so they can complete that same pattern with their left foot. Now, this isn't really something I've tried to do with two players in the middle and get two balls going at the same time. You could stagger them so that the goalie only has one ball to deal with. It's something I haven't tried, but obviously would add complexity to the exercise. So just to begin with, we got the players understanding this pattern. Now, as we're doing this, I'm talking to the players about how this relates and how this looks like the pattern that we're going to play in the game. Because we're going to play, as we talked about, 4, 3, and 1. So if you look at it here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders. You've got the holding midfielder, the 2 attacking midfielders. All we're missing is that forward we talked about earlier. So at this phase of the practice, once we've gone through, passing and all of the different technical components of passing and following our pass around the outside, I'll take and I'll add that forward in. So now we've got a forward up top. So now we have our shape. Now we've got these extra players here, and what I'll do to begin with is pull these extra players out, and we're going to make them defenders in a moment. We rotate them in to these positions as well. Now, to begin with, I left the cones in the spaces so they could see where the movement was, and I wanted them to start inside, on that cone, especially with these wide players, and then open up to the outside when the ball came to their side. But the idea is for the goalkeeper to have the ball and then pass it out to one side or the other. They pass it out to this side, then this player opens up, then this player shows in that split position. The center midfielder obviously would be flipped around the other direction and be completing that diamond on the inside, and then we'd get the forward trying to show in a different split lane. We talked about not going into this lane because that's really the lane for that midfielder to show into, but we want to try to find this window, if you will, between here. So if the ball is played into this wide defender who's moved up the field, now this player is going to complete the diamond, and this player is going to stay in that split position so we could find them through. Obviously, that'd be a great option if we can play the ball all the way through. If not, then we'd play the ball down the line. So we did that pattern several times with several different rules, one of them being the center midfielder had to touch the ball twice before we got it to the forward. So we get that ball circulation and that movement and that understanding. Obviously, when the ball goes to this side, we talk to this defender about tucking in. We talk to this forward or this outside defender about staying wide, not so wide as the touch line because we still want them to have room to open up, but staying wide to that other side as the ball is circulated on this side. And then if the ball comes back, then it's really important for that defender to open up, for this defender to come back here so that we can circulate the ball around the other side with this player then tucking in and obviously facing the middle in order to support and to cover here in the middle. We've got the goalkeeper doing that same job of supporting and covering the central area as well, just for safety's sake. So once we've done that a few times and the players really understand it, the next phase is to add defenders. So if we're going to add defenders, I start by adding a defender up in the front. so that we get one defender whose responsibility is to put these players under pressure. Their job is to pressure this diamond of 4 players and try to win the ball if they make a mistake. If they're basically taking away one side of it, I want the goalkeeper to read that cue that they can play the other way. And so we're going out in the other direction. The next phase would be to add another defender. That defender I would have come up in this area, and their job is to either take away one side or the other. So the defender can decide which side they're going to take away, because then I want the player on the ball to decide where they can play. So we've played out to this defender here. If we've got a defender in this area, they're taking away this side, maybe we've got to go back to the middle, okay, and then play up to the attacking midfielder perhaps. If we can play directly into the forward, fine, which at this stage we're obviously going to be able to because we don't have another defender. But we'll have this defender picking the side they're going to pressure. Now, obviously, early on, it's very easy, but what we're trying to do is progressively add pressure to make it more and more difficult. The next phase would be to add another defender and make it so that these players have to deal with a pressuring player in their diamond. So as you can tell, we've got basically we've got 4v1, 4v1, 4v1. The final stage would be to add that 4th defender. In this pattern we wouldn't have, or with this number of players we wouldn't have one. Perhaps I would take the goalkeeper's role so that we can add another defending player up top. If we've got more players available in training, that would obviously be somewhere we'd want to add another defender, so that we've continuously created these 4v1 situations for the players to solve. Eventually I'll free these players up to move and pressure the ball in more than one area, so we can get a 4v2 in here. If they really overload that space, then I want the players to be able to recognize that, play out, get to the other side where they have tons of room to attack the open space. So this is the way I built it up. Then we finished with a 6v6 scrimmage where we had 5 field players playing in a 2-1-2 and a goalkeeper on each end. And I looked for them to try to create those triangles of support in that game. So this was a way of teaching them how to play this 4-3-1 system, and it worked quite well. I was able to relate it back to the practice when we got into game situations so they can see how they can solve the problem. So I hope you like that. If you're playing 9v9, it's a great way to work on that system. Obviously, it's a great way to work on just diamond passing in general and building off of that. If you play 11v11 or playing 4-3-3, then obviously this fits right in with that, because this is a great progression from the 9v9 into the 11v11 with this formation. So hope you like that. Leave your comments in the section below, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks a lot.